Hello, I'm Aaron with Cannabis Card. Today we're going to discuss flower and the 35-day rolling average limitations. If you watched the earlier video where we discussed the THC dosage limitations, then you heard me talk about the Florida emergency order that came out in September of 2022. In this emergency order, the new law states that physicians can now only prescribe a maximum of 2.5 ounces of flower every 35 rolling days. The purpose of this new law was that the state strongly felt that any more than 2.5 ounces of flower in a 35-day period is no longer for personal medical use, meaning some of the flower could be used by someone other than the patient. The state also felt over 2.5 ounces of flower could no longer be a medical benefit to the patient, as heavy smoking of flower can cause long-term and permanent damage to both your lungs and your heart. The good news is that 90% of our patients will not reach their limits of 2.5 ounces of flower every 35 days. However, if you think you'll be coming close to limiting out, here's some useful information that can help guide you on ways to help maximize your recommendation. We have found that most patients who have contacted us because they have reached their limit have done so because they're not fully aware of how the 35-day rolling average works. Unfortunately, many dispensary bud tenders get paid on bonuses on sales volume. Because of this, the dispensaries tend to push patients into overbuying at certain times because of sales or discounts. While we all love a good sale, that can also cause gaps in our medication by overusing. Education is very important when it comes to this. Let's take a look at this graph below. In this example, the patient purchases a half ounce a week, which has been working for their normal usage. But on day 14, they went into a dispensary that had a 40% off sale, so the bud tender convinced them it was a good idea to purchase 1.5 ounces instead. The good news is they were able to save a little bit of money, but the bad news is they doubled up on their consumption or gave some to their friends, and by day 28, they were out. Since they purchased their 2.5 ounce limit, they are not able to purchase any more until day 36. On day 36, they will get reallocated what was purchased on day 1, which means they can purchase a half ounce again. So if this is you, what can you do? The first suggestion that we have is to really get to understand and know about the registry website. Here's an example page of the registry. On here, it will track your purchases or what has already been dispensed to you, which you would see in these columns right here. It will show you what you have remaining, which you would see right here. And then it also shows you when the last purchase that you had will expire of when this amount will be due again. So in this example here, on this date, the 0.15 ounces will be available to purchase again. The registry can be confusing, so if you're having difficulties, please come down to one of our locations during normal business hours, and we'll gladly teach you how to use it for no additional cost. Our goal is for you to have a great overall experience with your medication. Another suggestion we have is to change your habits of how you're purchasing to help maximize your orders. You may have to be a little bit more disciplined in this, but again, this will give you the best way to make sure you do not run out. 2.5 ounces of flower every 35 days works out to be a half ounce every week. You can see on this chart, if you purchase a half ounce every week, you will not run out or go over your limits. Dispensaries commonly sell flower by the 1/8 jar. 4 of these jars equals a half ounce. So you can purchase 4 of these per week and never run out of flower. VidaCann, for example, has one of the lowest prices of flower, so you'd be looking at a budget of about $80 per week based on this particular brand here. $80 a week would equal about a $480 budget is what you'd have to spend at VidaCann particularly to max out on your flower every 35 days. So what does a half ounce actually look like? A half ounce on average is about 20 joints. So if you see, this is roughly about what a half ounce would look like. It would roughly roll about 20 joints between a half and 1 gram of flower each, which is about 3 per day, just to give you a perspective of how much that would be on a weekly basis. And also just be wary of dispensaries trying to upsell and push you on extra product, as this will only cause you to run out. We particularly suggest you use VidaCann as they have everyday low prices, which are better than most dispensary sale prices. As you can see, $19 for an 8 every day really is a great deal. Lastly, we've had a few patients come to us from the dispensaries telling them that doctors can give them an exemption. Well, that is only partially true. The state of Florida has created an exemption form, but it's only supposed to be used for those patients who are suffering from a terminal condition or severe enough it can lead to being terminal. As stated in our earlier video, a moral ethical physician is not going to recommend something to a patient that will end up causing a more severe issue than what the patient has originally came in for treatment for. Anxiety, insomnia, and things similar in nature are not conditions in which the physician is willing to risk long-term lung or heart damage for. Here's a copy of the form that the physician would have to sign to submit for an exemption. I want you to look at some of the language that is on this form just so you kind of understand the risk the physician has in signing this. On here it states the physician must have a legitimate medical reasoning to applying for this exemption. If they're found guilty, they can get charged for a misdemeanor and arrested. This also could be a violation of their Medical Practice Act, which means they could eventually, if found guilty, lose their license to practice after review from a governing board. If you feel your medical condition is severe enough for one of our physicians to risk their ability to practice medicine, then you're more than welcome to fill out this form and request an exemption to be made. Does not necessarily mean they're going to approve it, but you can certainly ask. Please understand that the dispensaries are in business to make money by selling you more cannabis. Our physicians, on the other hand, have taken an oath that they will always uphold their moral and ethical medical values. We hope you understand this. Thank you for taking time and watching this video. We hope you found it informative, and we wish you good health.